Every year you see these pictures on social media, on Instagram of people that reel in these giant catfish, I don't know, 70, 80 pounds plus, and they're like holding them up barely with both arms. I think the biggest catfish I've ever caught in my life, Spencer, was 8 or 9 pounds, and that was in a farm pond back when I was a little kid. Always did a lot of bass fishing growing up, but um, can you describe to the listeners hooking on to just an extremely large catfish, what that feels like and just the power that they have?
Well, to revisit what you just said, the best way to catch big catfish is to fish for big catfish. So I'm assuming you don't target them very much.
That's true.
E-
That's true.
Even if you do target them, they're tough to catch on a consistent basis at times. I mean, there are times where it can seem like there's an unlimited supply of big catfish in the lake or river, but usually those are special circumstances. But as far as tying into them, a lot of it just depends on the type of catfish. Like a blue catfish, they don't really nibble. Even the smaller 10 to 20 pound, which for blue cats that is a little bit smaller, is 10 to 20 pound fish, and they're fun. Don't get me wrong, but I mean that's crazy that that's your smaller fish. But when they don't nibble much unless they're really inactive, but they'll hit a rod and just completely demolish it. Like if you're bank fishing, you better have it tightly secured to something or have it in free spool clicker. If you have it in free spool clicker, they're going to take off screaming a million miles an hour. And as soon as you come tight on them, lots of times, as soon as they feel that pressure, they're going to run right back at you until either their belly's scraping the bottom and they realize they're going the wrong direction if you're bank fishing, or they get right under the boat. And that's where most of the battle's at. And they're just heavy, a lot of weight. They're not going to go on, at least on big cat tackle, they're not going to bust off like 100-yard run like a tarpon or something like that, or a big redfish would. But it's just power and endurance. Like these, even with a lot of drag on them, the fights can. I mean, it's a tug of war for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on how big a fish you're hooked onto. And this is with 80-pound braid mainline heavier action rods and 80-pound leader. I mean, and I'm putting a lot of heat on those fish. And then with the flatheads, they'll fool you. Like the blues sometimes, or lots of times, they'll hit it and you think you have a bigger fish hit the bait than it actually is. Whereas the flatheads, I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between a 2 pounder and a 52 pounder. Like they kind of just grab the bait and your rod tip will just bob, or if you have it in free spool clicker, it'll just steadily start to roll, just zzz. And then once you hook up, it's generally a fight from beginning to end. They'll throw big head shakes at you and make that rod, bellow up and down, throw that rod butt right in your stomach. And I mean, you better have a good grip on the fishing rod. They're not tuna, they don't have that explosiveness, but just sheer power and durability, and then I guess some explosiveness and short bursts. I don't know, like catfishing is a lot of boredom followed up by a few minutes of absolute pandemonium and chaos.